It is my great honor and privilege to deliver the welcome address at the SPJIMR Convocation 2021. I have this privilege because I'm standing in for the chairman of the board, Mr. Deepak Parekh, who has requested me to stand in as the chairman of this particular convocation. I would first like to welcome the various dignitaries who are gracing this occasion, and then would like to make two welcoming points to the graduating students of SPJIMR. But first, we are deeply honored at the Institute to welcome Mrs. Arundhati Bhattacharjee, who is the chairperson and CEO of Salesforce India. I would also like, although in absentia, Mr. Deepak Parekh, the chairman of the governing board, to feel welcome. And I can't welcome myself, so I will continue with the members of the governing council of SPJ IMR. I would also like to welcome the Associate Dean Academics, which is Dr. Vasant Shivaraman, who is currently leading the institute through a committee and is doing yeoman service. The Dean Designate, Dr. Varun Nagaraj, who will be joining the institute in September 2021. In case he's able to join, it will be a great pleasure to welcome him. And the two other associate deans of this institute, Dr. Preeta George and Dr. Renuka Kamath. So it's a great pleasure to have all of you present at this. And then there are the five really broad shoulders on which the institute runs, the chairpersons of the five programs who will be presenting their respective graduating classes. A very warm welcome to them. The members of the faculty, who are one of the finest teaching staff in this country for the subject of management, and all the staff of SPJIMR who support this faculty. The registrar for academic administration and the heads of all institutions in the Bhavan's campus, we are very fortunate who are able to attend today. And then, of course, we have the leaders from corporates, partner organizations, alumni, who have joined today on this Saturday morning. And last but not the least, the very proud parents, and rightly proud parents, spouses, family members of the graduating class. And finally, the people who are starring on this occasion, the 596 bright young SPRs, the sparks, who will be graduating this morning. A very warm welcome to you. I said that apart from welcoming a long list of very distinguished people to this very important occasion, I would just like to make two little points for you, which I hope you will find memorable, even if you forget everything else that happens at a formal function. And both of these are little stories. It is a tradition that elderly people give advice to younger people, but I don't want to do that. But the two stories I'm going to tell you will have their own inbuilt little moral. So the first story I want to tell you is about a visit that my wife and I made almost 25 years ago when I was posted abroad. And it was a chairman's conference, Unilever Group Company's chairman's conference, which was held in Zimbabwe. And in Zimbabwe, there is a big river in the southern part of Africa called the Zambezi. And they took us on a boat cruise early in the morning at 6:30 or 7. And there would be breakfast served somewhere where the boat would anchor. Now, one of the big problems that my wife and I had in Africa was that we were vegetarian. And the word was non-existent so far as the Africans were concerned. So we were always preoccupied with what will happen to our next meal. Sure enough, we got off at an island where they wanted to show us what they called a crocodile farm. And I had this image that a crocodile farm will have large crocodiles like the Sundarbans in Bengal. But actually, it turned out to be a crocodile nursery. And there were small little crocodiles, baby crocodiles, which were being hatched and grown into what they called bonsai crocodiles. And bonsai crocodiles meant that they were fully grown crocodiles, But instead of being 3 or 4 feet long, they were about 8 inches long. And I was surprised. What is a bonsai crocodile? And this is the explanation I got. That when these little crocodiles are hatched out of the egg, they are normal crocodiles. And they have the potential to grow to 3 or 4 feet or 5 feet. But like we do with a bonsai plant, where we tie up the roots, tap the roots, and prevent the plant from growing naturally, we tap this crocodile and put it into a little tank where it doesn't have the breadth of vision and the swimming capability. And therefore, it remains a small little crocodile. It is permanently stunted. So, what happens to the bonsai plant happens to the crocodile, and we get 8-inch crocodile, fully grown, mature adult. I said, why would anybody want to do this? At least bonsai plants are pretty to look at and you keep them in your house. Who would want to keep a bonsai crocodile? And here's the answer. Then the rich people in the US, particularly in Florida, California, and so on, have in their house little ponds and they like to keep bonsai crocodiles because they can't keep the natural crocodile. And then the rich guests come for dinner or to have a drink with them or to enjoy a soiree. They show them around their ponds and the little crocodiles. And so it provides a great deal of fun and mirth to the wealthy people. Well, I thought, what a way to patronize bonsai creation. But the thought passed my mind that when graduates finish with management schools like SPJIMR, they produce little crocodiles which have just hatched out of the egg. In this case, the egg is the SPJIMR. And they've got a lot of potential to become 4 feet long, tall managers in the business enterprises. But if they swim in a pond which is narrow and constricts their vision and the working of their muscles, at the end of 15 years, they will become bonsai crocodiles or bonsai managers, as I call it. And a bonsai manager, once made into a bonsai, cannot become normal again. Just like that crocodile can never become 3 or 4 feet long. So, without advising you, I'm suggesting to you that swimming in tough waters, swimming where you're really exercised, and not being contented with a small little pond in which you are the big chief is a good idea if you want to become the powerful, socially responsible managers whom SPJIMR intends to produce. So that's the first story. The second story I want to tell you is also about from the animal world. It's about two birds that come to the garden in Britain. As you know, the Brits are very fond of their summers because they have dreary weather for most of the year. And every year around July, August, two birds come, migratory birds come to their gardens. Both are of the crow family. And they're about the same size like a crow, except that one is blue jay. It's called a blue jay, it's blue in color, and one is red in color, and it's called a red robin. They have some differences in their characteristics, which is not something I need to hold you up about. And from 1900 till 1945, when data was being collected, these two birds were about the same size and they had a similar digestive system. And the way they got ingested their food was they would sit on the rim of the open top milk cans. Like you have even today, if you go to UP, Bihar, or rural Maharashtra, you'll find open top milk cans. And they sat on the edge of it. The cream would come to the top and they would peck at it and they would ingest a certain amount of cream, which of course made them, as the Punjabis would say, healthy. Now, in 1945, something dramatic happened. Their weight started diverging. And the blue jay continued to become healthy, but the red robin became less in its weight and size and structure. And the question arose, why does that happen? And here's what they found at the end of another 30, 40 years, say 1980 or 85, that the blue jay is a very sociable animal. The bird twitters to each other and they're always together. And when one blue jay found that pasteurized milk, which was now becoming the fashion in 1945, you have to peck very hard at the aluminum foil if you want to get to the cream. So one blue jay figured it out and told the other blue jays, okay, this is the way to do it. In the case of the red robin, they were very territorial. They didn't want to share information with other people. So a red robin who figured out how to get to the cream would not tell the other red robins. So over a period of 40 years, the community of blue jays continued to be flourishing because they shared and communicated information. Whereas the red robins became captains of their own little ships and their ship remained small. So sharing is caring, sharing is growing. And that is a very nice lesson to learn from the family of the birds. I promised you I'll tell you only two stories. I got a lot many more stories. But I would like you to remember as you go through your career to make sure you never become a bonsai crocodile, because what has been hatched and is being honored today at SPJIMR are crocodiles which have 4 feet, 5 feet length capability. And your faculty here and all your well-wishers would be very disappointed if you're not a tall business leader at the end of 30 or 40 years. And the second thing is, when you share and care for people and for knowledge, knowledge is the only commodity which the more you share, the more you enjoy, the more you develop. So please remember these two lessons. And it's a great honor for me to be the chairman of this convocation on behalf of Deepak Parekh. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here. And congratulations once more to our graduating class. God bless all of you. Thank you.